Hey everybody, Nicole Kaufman here, the Right Therapist. Welcome back to the channel. And I am doing something a little different today. I am weighing in on Tom MacDonald's song Fighter. I'm new. I don't know a whole lot about him other than that he is a Canadian rapper and that I've listened to many songs of his in the past that have been sent to me by friends. And I love his message. And so I was just going to get on today and kind of give a reaction to, I guess, from a mental health perspective, his song Fighter, and maybe tease out a couple of the lyrics and just talk about how awesome this song is. What I loved about it was that it talked about being a believer and also being a fighter. And that speaks so huge right now with what we're dealing with from a cultural standpoint, and also personal standpoint, right? So the Hangover Gang, that is the fan club of Tom MacDonald, a lot of the comments came after the YouTube drop today about how inspirational and how his lyrics definitely resonated and moved them. And can I just say, isn't it nice to have a song or a rapper that inspires instead of denigrates, that motivates instead of judges, that promotes a higher power or promotes belief in something other than these streets or drugs and money and hoes and all of this, horrible stuff. We had Migos, one of the Migos gang or rappers this week die, right, in an altercation at a bar. And I guess we're supposed to feel bad about that. I mean, I hate that anybody dies for tragic causes, but this is exactly what they sing about. This is exactly the culture that is promoted in rap music. So should we really be surprised when one after the other is ticked off due to street violence or gang violence or this culture that they speak so fondly about, actually? So getting back to Tom MacDonald here, one of the things that I loved and that I wanted to just talk about, and one of the things that I speak about when I do therapy with my clients is the idea of belief. And so I want to just kind of riff on this concept for a minute, that we are told as kids, and we are told growing up, that we don't believe anything that we don't see, right? We got to see it to believe it. And when it comes to personal growth and when it comes to personal change, I take the inside out approach. And there are a lot of thought leaders and people who work in the psychotherapy space that actually believe the opposite. We have to believe it to see it. So I really want you to dig in here and think about that. In order to believe that you can change or to see change in yourself, you have to believe it can happen first. And Tom MacDonald talks a lot in this song about sobriety and being in recovery. And I don't know from experience because I have not gone through recovery myself, but I have friends and folks who have. And it is a daily job, folks. And kudos to you if you are working a recovery path right now, that it is a daily thing. Sometimes it's an hourly thing. Sometimes you have to segment your day. I just got to get to lunch. I just got to get to 3 o'clock. I just got to get to dinner tonight. And sobriety is a day by day, hourly by hourly thing. And for those of you who have not walked a recovery path, and relapse is part of recovery, and he talks about that in his song, that relapse happens. Relapse is, we're taught in our training to expect relapse actually as part of recovery. Relapse is not a weakness. Relapse happens. And it is quite literally when he says, when you're fighting for your life, do you believe in you or not? You have to believe that you are capable of recovering before you can actually recover, before you can actually see yourself recovering. You have to believe it can happen. And I love so many aspects of this song. So, when he says he's a believer, and a lot of the video definitely has some church scenes in it and some religiosity to it. But believing in something that you can't see, believing in your own power to self-actualize, to be something different than you are right now. Only when you can believe it, will it actually happen. And I know that sounds trite and cliche, but we try to do all the other things, right? We try to eat right. We try to take the right vitamins. We try to eat the right foods. We try to see it on the outside, and then expect that the changes will happen on the inside. And that's not, again, that's just not how it all goes. He talks about alcohol and depression, therapists, and all the different pills that can get expensive. Absolutely. And when you're in a flat spin, sometimes the pills are the only answer for the time being. And working with a therapist, I love it that he even mentions therapists in a song, because we love to be a part of your journey moving forward, your aftercare journey. If you're coming out of recovery, having therapists help on that path is really vital. And so that he even mentions it is fantastic. The other thing that he mentions, and that we see a lot on this side of the clipboard in our sessions, is folks who have dealt with abuse, substance use disorder, substance abuse, from a variety of aspects. And it doesn't matter if it's, hard drugs, alcoholism, cigarettes, I mean, you name it. Even sugar sometimes can really affect you in profound long-term ways that result in a lifetime of trying to get over on those aspects of yourself. So, just because you are sober doesn't mean that you're not dealing with the hangover of having been addicted or abusing substance for a number of years. It can turn your brain into Swiss cheese. It really can. And I want to just emphasize that, the long-term effects of drug use can make recovery that much harder and that much of a daily struggle. So as sober people see other folks in the midst of recovery, it's sometimes hard to develop that compassion, because they're sober now, so it should be done, right? They should just stay sober. And it's just not that simple, guys. It's just not. Folks really need to have some compassion for those folks who are dealing with what they're dealing with in terms of their personal journey. And I'm going to go out on a limb here, as we have, I wouldn't be on the conservative take if I didn't have an opinion politically about what's happening. And I really feel like the red wave is coming. I'll go on record as saying I'm not going to go get granular in terms of how many seats we're going to garner in terms of Republican tickets. But what I will say is this. I feel like we as a culture, we as a people have been fighting for the last 2 years, fighting to escape the labels of being bigots, of being anti-Black, anti-police, anti-gay, anti-trans, anti-education, We have been labeled this, and I say we as in those of us who are more conservative. I feel like we have been labeled in this regard, at least over the past 2 years. Ever since Clinton called us deplorables, to just last week, or this week actually, white women were compared to white suburban women. Were called out on The View as being cockroaches. So we have been compared now to the most horrible people on earth. And I can say I don't understand how we got there, but the divisiveness is palatable. And even down to the speech that was given last night when Biden was in Union Station. If I hear that we're at an inflection point one more time, that if Republicans happen to take over these elections, that we are now some sort of, that's the end of democracy as we know it. And I think quite the opposite is true. I think this is a clapback and a snapback to traditional American values and traditional American culture, and that we believe that we're all fighting our own personal demons, and we're all fighting for the good of ourselves and the good of our country. And I think to circle this all the way back around to Tom MacDonald, I think that's what he's saying or getting at in this song. And I think that's why it resonates with so many people. And you might be fiscally conservative and maybe socially liberal. You might have a more independent stripe as far as how you see things happening in this country. But as far as, what he talks about in his songs, and all of you who want the best for yourselves and want the best for other people in this country, you don't want to burn it down. You don't want to say that, climate change is a existential threat and it's going to get us all in the end anyway. So who cares? This kind of nihilist, nothing matters kind of aspect of the progressive left that has been so pervasive over the last 2 years and has basically given so many people so little hope. The hope and change of the Obama era of 8 years, that was at least somewhat hopeful in the messaging. It was somewhat inspiring, at least initially. And what we're getting now and what we have been getting is anything but that. And I'm hoping that songs like Tom MacDonald's and the way that the culture is responding to these initiatives, these foreign policy initiatives that are going nowhere, the domestic policy issue that has resulted in record inflation, high gas prices, high everything prices, and a real question mark as to, how this country moves forward fiscally. And now education is coming to the forefront as far as what we're teaching our kids. We are coming to an inflection point, but it's now time for us to be fighters and be believers in what we've believed all along, in the resiliency of this country and the resiliency of ourselves as American citizens, to take ourselves to the next level with politicians and policymakers in place that can make some really good decisions that aren't emotionally charged, but are for the good of the people and for the good of the country. I think that's what Tom MacDonald's getting at. And if you aren't a fighter, if you aren't a believer that we can pull together and take this country to the next level, you're just a liar, like he says. We've put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we've given the leadership in this country enough bandwidth to make it clear what it is they believe in. And I think it's time to take it back. That's all I have to say about that. So I'm going to be done rambling here. I'm not going to say that I'm a Tom MacDonald expert, but I sure do like his messaging, and it was way inspiring. So everybody now, absolutely get yourself some sweet tea, listen to Tom MacDonald, and then maybe go watch Top Gun. Okay, that'll be a red letter day on a Friday. All right. Hug your babies, and thank you for watching and listening to The Right Therapist.